For a long time, popular culture pictured the womb as a silent, pitch-black sensory deprivation tank. We imagined a place where a baby simply floats in the dark, resting and waiting to be born. The biological reality inside that fluid is hyperactive. The fetus is actually running dense biological software, constantly rehearsing for life on the outside. By weeks 8 to 12 of gestation, we see the onset of what clinicians call organized embryonic behaviors. These are coordinated, intentional movements, not random biological spasms. The fetus expands and contracts its lungs to practice the mechanics of breathing without air. It curls its toes, forms fists, and brings its tiny thumb to its mouth to actually practice sucking. If a body is executing motor movements of this complexity months before delivery, the womb is serving as an interactive training ground. It is preparing the biological hardware for survival. That training extends to the palate. The amniotic fluid itself is not sterile water. It is a constantly cycling, chemical-rich medium that the fetus regularly swallows. The mother's diet dictates the fluid's chemical composition. Nutrient molecules travel from her digestive tract, cross the placental barrier, and alter the amniotic environment. Fetuses exposed to strong flavors process these chemicals through their taste receptors, forming lifelong preferences for those specific foods. This intake applies to the auditory system as well. By weeks 23 to 25, the fetal hearing apparatus is fully mature and online. The environment is loud. The fetus is constantly subjected to a rhythmic internal soundscape of the mother's beating heart and the steady whoosh of blood. Sound waves from the outside world also penetrate the tissue. The fetus hears external voices, and experiments prove they can distinguish and prefer the specific frequency of their mother's voice over a stranger's. We know they are listening because of the physiological data. Electronic fetal monitoring historically tracks clear spikes in heart rates and sudden bodily movements in direct response to these auditory cues. Through taste and sound, a cultural and social bridge is formed. The fetus learns the chemical profile of its family's diet and the sound of its family's language long before it sits at a dinner table. Vision seems like the one sense that would remain entirely dormant in a dark space. However, the optic nerve forms by week 9, and the fused eyelids are remarkably thin. Research reveals a physiological anomaly. The womb is not completely dark. When a bright light is shown on a mother's abdomen after 28 weeks, photons penetrate the skin and uterine tissue, triggering immediate heart rate spikes in the fetus. Researchers projected configurations of light dots through the abdomen to test visual preferences, using two patterns, an inverted and an upright triangle. Fetuses actively tracked the top-heavy inverted triangle because it mimics a human face. Tracking a face-like pattern through the uterine wall is an active rehearsal for human social connection. This highly reactive intrauterine environment means every fetal movement carries developmental weight. These physical rehearsals are required to build proper muscle tone, construct neural architecture, and develop proprioception, the body's ability to sense its own position in physical space. This line graph compares normal fetal movement frequency against the physiological state of the mother. It highlights a declining trend line in movement that correlates directly with high maternal stress and anxiety levels. When chronic stress suppresses these vital physical rehearsals, the disruption hinders the development of proper motor control and cognitive pathways, limiting the sensory input needed to form neural connections. Birth is a transition. A heavily programmed, experienced individual is graduating from an interactive biological classroom, finally meeting the physical world that has been shaping it for 9 months.